Hey everybody, Foreverretro 82 here. Hope you're staying safe and being well out there. So summer is upon us. Summer is here. Basically, some of us normal people like to go to the beach and see some hot honeys in bikinis, or we like to go camping with our families and do some fishing and swimming. Or you might want to do it solo and do some trekking, climbing, and whatnot. But then there's the others, like myself. Us nerds. We have no love or admiration for the summer whatsoever. It's too fucking hot. And we have too many tech toys we want to play with to not give a shit about going to the ocean. I have thalassophobia really bad. Go to the ocean, go to the beach, go camping, fishing, hiking, whatever the fuck you want to do, climbing, trekking, all that shit. Not interested. Alright? Not interested. When I was a kid, or when I was younger basically, what I would do during the summer is the following. I would play my Super Nintendo all the time. And then when I finally got myself an NES, I played that all the time. And I started collecting for it because the games were cheaper. Because SNES was still king and the NES was, well, considered a dead platform. And it was. 1995 is when Nintendo pulled all support in the American market for the NES. So that was a sad time. But it happens. All platforms can't live forever as much as we would like them to. Anyway. So during the summer, I would always do some stuff around the house and do some stuff with maybe at my friend's house. When they don't feel like doing it, they would pay me off to do stuff like mow lawns, do dishes, stuff. I earned money during the summer. I wanted to, just so I would have a little bit of this, And I didn't get much, but it was enough to make me happy. And what I have with me here are 5 NES games that I purchased by doing those said things. And these are games, except for one of them, I bought blind. I haven't played any of them prior to owning them. I've seen them in magazines. Friends told me about them, but I never played them. Because the thing is you can tell somebody about your opinion of a game, and it sounds good on paper, but you really need to experience it yourself before you can make a good opinion on it, or an opinion that has a lot of merit to it. A lot of people will just say, well, it sucks because it's for the NES and I like the Master System. That's your opinion, whatever, but, you never played it, so how the fuck do you know? It's one of those kind of things. Anyways, yeah, so these titles I bought by doing little, bitch jobs during the summer so I can buy myself, to make my collection bigger. I really didn't have any responsibilities with money, so I was able to blow on whatever the fuck I want. I'm pretty sure some of you had a time period like that, too. And this was before I had my summer job at 16. This was before I was even 16. This is when I was 15, 14, etc. and whatnot. And even before then. I don't remember some of the times I bought these games. I just know I bought them. I remember buying them. I would go to Funkoland and see them on the little paper, I'm talking about, the little newspaper thing, and it would tell you the prices. And if I had the money on hand and one game sounded interesting, or if I've seen it before and I always wanted to try it, I just said, fuck, I'll buy it blind. And that's what I did with most of these, except for one. And the first one we're going to look at is going to be the one I didn't play blind. I actually played it at Funkoland, and I was there for 4 hours trying to beat the game. But at the time, my gaming skills were absolute shit, and they were just absolute shit. Couldn't get anywhere. I got far. I just didn't get to the end until I bought it. And then 2 days later, I actually sat down and after I got done with my homework and all the stuff my mom wanted me to do, and actually beat the game. It was incredible. Because at that time, I was exposed to games like Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. I bought a copy of Ninja Gaiden prior to any of these games. I bought the first one, and I was playing Ninja Gaiden. I was also playing some fast-paced games like Mario 3 and a few other titles that I can't think off at the top of my head. But basically, my hand and eye coordination was improving tremendously from when I was a kid. So I was able to beat all of these games, except for one. I didn't beat. There's one of these games, and I will point it out, that I haven't beaten because I just don't have the time. But I do wish I had it, because if I did, I would sit down and play the bitch and beat it. And it's also got some nice trivia too that I will gladly explain when we get there. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and shut the fuck up and play some of these games, show you some footage, and give my opinion on them and what it felt like going into it. So this is kind of like a blast from the past kind of deal. I still play these games too. I still play these, but I'll try to give you a good opinion of how I felt when I first popped these in for the first time and experienced them. And I honestly think, too, that some of these games should be explored. Like, if you're collecting, I think you should own these titles. Because these titles are great, at least in my opinion. Well, we'll see. I mean, you let me know of your opinion, as always. I always appreciate that. So, I'm going to shut up and let's get started, huh? Yes, the first game is Vice Project Doom. I absolutely love this game. First of all, it's a lot like Ninja Gaiden. You have cutscenes. Unfortunately, the cutscenes are not that great. If you play the Japanese version, Gun Deck, they have better cutscenes, and it is translated. I will link the patch in the description. Or you can look it up that are pre-patched by other means. Anyways, I honestly think it's not important. So this is how it starts off. You get told to press the start button. Otherwise, it just brings you back to the story. Which I don't care. I'll press the start button. Now, at first when I played this, I literally thought this was like, okay, is this Spy Hunter? But it is kind of like Spy Hunter at first on crack. I mean, look at this shit. You got cars just flying all over the damn place. You're blowing up shit. You're hitting stuff. Just everything in its mother is going off at once. And you just... Holy balls, you can't even, like, sometimes can't even pay attention to everything that's going on the screen right now. Everything's just flying. All you can think of is just, okay, let's stay on the road and fucking shoot shit. And it's fantastic. You're like, okay, you know, it's like Spy Hunter, but it looks a little better and plays a little better. Because Spy Hunter, I will admit, while it's a classic to most of us, it's kind of lame, too. But it wasn't until after the driving sections that I find out how much more there is to this game. Then I noticed, whoa, what's this? Side scroll? This is great. And I'm like, okay, what can you do? And then I saw this. I'm like, holy shit, this is just like Ninja Gaiden. Hell yeah. Can I cling on walls? Well, not exactly. But it plays a lot like Ninja Gaiden. I mean, you slash... I want to say it's a saber, but I could be wrong. Or like a lightsaber. I mean, because look at the icon in the bottom there. It looks like a fucking paintbrush or you know, something that a lightsaber would hold. I want to say it's a saber. And you also have two other icons. You can shoot a gun, which I think is kind of useless, but it's good for little range attacks. But the one I really like the most, other than the saber, is the grenade. The grenade does hella damage. Also, it's the first game, I think, during this time where you can run while ducking. That's very helpful in the game. So yeah, you got platforming side scroll sequences, you know, all around good stuff. It's very fast, very fluid. It's got good music, it's catchy. Controls fine. I love this game. I replay it every chance, like, I want to say at least maybe once a year, once every couple of years. But yeah, I could not beat this game at Funkoland at all. I got to, like, the 5th stage. It was like a train stage, I believe is the 5th stage. But, it's a toughie. It takes some trial and error getting used to. But, I mean, it's not just side-scroll in, Spy Hunter stages. Oh, no. There's much more to it than just these two, types of gameplay. I also have shooting segments like Bayou Billy. So there's plenty to like here. I mean, if you don't want to just play your same old running around and hit stuff, play Vice Project Doom. Now, I did do a Let's Play of this if you don't want to play it yourself. If you want to watch me play it to its completion, I will link it up to the upper right part of the screen about here. So yeah, if you want to watch it yourself, you can, but these guys kind of look like juggalos. So, I mean, I don't like ICP or juggalos, so, you know, this kind of is therapeutic to me. Just shooting their asses. You know, they could make a ROM hack and make these guys juggalos. Instead of throwing knives, they throw hatchets at you. Because, yeah, you can take your motherfucking juggalo clown love and shove it up your ass. You're as bad as furries. But yeah, that's Vice Project Doom, and I'll let you on to my final opinion of it. So yes, Vice Project Doom. Here's my copy right here. This was one of the first Let's Plays I did. I think it was my second Let's Play. Second or third. It's back when somebody, I won't mention his name, was kind enough to make me banners and whatnot, and like little icons and whatnot. The guy was just, never mind. That's personal, nothing important. Anyways, we don't need to go through that story again. Anyway, yeah. So Vice Project Doom. This is a fantastic game, and it went under the radar for a lot of people because it was released late. It was released in 1991, either shortly before the Super Nintendo or shortly after. So a lot of people jumped ship after the SNES was launched because they wanted something new. They wanted something, bright, shiny, new, pretty, looks good to the eyes, and Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis was it. And a lot of people but for some reason, support continued for the SNES for another 4 more years. Or NES, excuse me, for 4 more years. And after the SNES was released. So basically the NES died when the PlayStation was launched. And but yeah, Vice Project Doom was unfortunately one of those that went under the radar because it was released late. And unfortunately the next game shares that same fate. But before we go to that next game, I just want to touch base on Vice Project Doom and why I like it so much. Well, first of all, it plays a lot like Ninja Gaiden, like the main side scroll bit. It plays a lot like Ninja Gaiden. It's not as satisfying, but it's still a hell of a lot of fun. And the game has some really good toe-tapping tunes. Now, Sammy is not known for great games. I don't care. I will fight anyone tooth and nail on that. Sammy's a shit company, right? Even on the NES. They had a few decent games, but most of it was Kosuge. I can give you 2 Kosuges that come to mind when I think about that game, or the games that they made. Amagon and Ninja Crusaders. Why? Well, see, Amagon had the ability to be a fun game. I honestly think it shouldn't be a one-hit death game, because a lot of the deaths you receive in that game are cheap as shit. And it's no fun. Yeah, we rented that back in the day. My friend loved it. I hate it. I mean, I didn't hate it, but I wanted to, I bought it later in life. I made a video of it on my Demonic Sex channel. That was made with shit quality. We do things better here. And that was a long time ago. But if you're interested, I guess I can link you up there. Right. And I was playing that blind because I totally forgot everything that happened in that game, because we rented it. We didn't play it very much because, well, we rented 2 games that night. We rented that, and we also rented River City Ransom. And guess what got played the most? You guessed it. He would take. The thing was, my friend Steve and I. Well, back in the day, his parents drink beer like every fucking day, right? And they fought every day because alcoholic rage is a thing. When you drink too much, just like when you smoke too much, you get too paranoid. Anyway, he'd get a lot of beer cans, and they would be too lazy to take them up and cash them in. Now, when you're in Michigan, you get a 10-cent deposit, right? And so we would use those. We had 2 big garbage cans. He'd have one, I'd carry the other one, and we'd take it up to Skip's and trade them in, and then rent some video games. NES games, they went from $2 to, when the SNES was released, the SNES games were $2.50. The NES games were like $1, $1.50, somewhere around there. So it was cheaper. So we decided, and there was nothing on the SNES that was in that interests us at the time. So we just rented some NES games. And we were like, oh fuck it, let's just rent some NES games, and we did. We rented River City Ransom, and it was the second time we rented River City Ransom. The first time we rented it with Marble Madness, and we had fun with that until we got to the final stage. And my brother almost broke that cartridge. I'm like, dude, no, we'll get in trouble because this is not our copy. My brother had some rage issues with games back in the day. I got many stories I could tell you about, a couple of them, but I won't. One I already touched base on, but that's not important. Anyways, once again, just jibber jabber. I don't like to hear myself talk, but I guess you could say I do, because that's all I've been doing. Anyways, Amagon was shit to me. Ninja Crusaders could have been good for the same reason. One-hit kills and the cheap deaths. It's bullshit. And the way you get hit, sometimes you have no warning. So, to me, those 2 games are Kosuge. Good ideas, but just poorly executed. So Sammy didn't make very good games, at least in my opinion. The only good game that comes to mind is this one, Vice Project Doom. Now, the next game I'm going to be showing, it was also a late release, and many people love the soundtrack to the game, and rightfully so. The game is fucking great. And one more thing, the Japanese version, I don't know if I mentioned it in the gameplay segment, I'll mention it again, Japanese version is called Gun Deck, and it has a better story, and once again, in the description, I'll give you the where you can find the patch, so you can patch the game and enjoy it yourself, if you so choose to play it through. But this next game is great. I always give it in high regard. It's a fantastic game, and you should play it. Also, you should jam to it outside the game because the game just has such a good soundtrack. So let's shut up and get into that now. So enjoy. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is a fantastic fucking game. To some people, it's like, oh, it's not all that great. You just run around and punch enemies. But you know what? It's fun. They do it in a fun, really fun and expressive way, and it's also really great. I mean, what's more 90s than a fucking Terminator-looking guy punching a dude in the face? I mean, come on. He looks like Arnold Lau. Now, before we begin, I need to address one thing. So, Shatterhand in Japan. Yes, this game was toted for Americans. This particular version of the game, because obviously it was released here in America, right? Basically, this game is known as Super Rescue Soul Brain over in Japan. And Area C is completely different, and the story is completely different. There's actually a cutscene when you start it. This game has also been translated. I will leave the patch in the description, just like the previous game. But the game is pronounced, and I'm sorry if I butchered this, Tokyu Shirei Soru Birien. I'll try that again. Tokuyu Shirei Soru Birien. I'll just show the spelling of it here. There, so you know what I was trying to say. I'm not the best at Japanese speaking. If I fucked that up, I do apologize. I did the best I could, and that's as far as we're going to get. Anyways, this game was made by Natsume and published by Jaleco. I think this is around the time where Natsume may have either lost their license or they didn't have the means to bring this over here, and Jaleco did. But yeah, this game is well known for its soundtrack, its music, and of course legendary gameplay. And you may see I grabbed a letter. Well, the letters are, if you get different combinations, you get these little robot helpers, which we will see shortly. This is your opening stage, so you get the feel of the game. I mean, you have a lot to like here. First of all, it's a damn good-looking game for an NES game. I mean, it's late. 1991, they really pushed the NES, I think, as far as it could go. Those P's power you up, that's why your Coke gets red, and I think you can keep it for at least up to 3 hits before it finally goes away. So, yeah. Gold doesn't really do anything. It gives you... Well, that's a lie. It does. I mean, a lot of the things, though, cost, like, up to 1,000. I think extra lives, if you find one, they have the EX, they give you 2,000. Anyways, all that's not really important. You have to play the game yourself. We got BDD, what does that give us? This guy, who shoots lasers and they basically crawl in the walls and ceilings, so that's nice. I guess. There are other ones. There's one you can get that has like a samurai sword. There's another one that shoots like these little fire rings. I mean, and they're very helpful. And of course, you got grenades here that just blow you up and they take a lot of damage. But yeah, this game is heavily revered as a fantastic game by many gamers. They love it because it's just... It has a personality that can't be matched. So you can cling on walls, too. You can cling on the background. And it works really well. It's not out of place. It doesn't feel funky. You just press up on the D-pad, and there you go. Then you can scale walls. No problem. Your robot helpers can die if they take a lot of damage. Like, that guy just fucking bit the dust quick because I had him placed underneath. My bad. Oh, and I forgot to mention, I know I'm going all over the place, the Japanese version was actually was published by Angel. Now, Angel was a subsidiary of Bandai, who is now defunct, obviously. But, that's not important. I'm just glad we finally got a taste of this over here. And, I mean, yeah, that'd be the T-800 looking motherfucker, he's not bad looking. I mean, he does the job. I think he fits the bill in some way. Like I said, the Japanese version, you play as like a robot based off the show. I've never seen the show, but if you guys ever seen it, please let me know in the comments how was it. Maybe I could do some looking around of said show on YouTube. Maybe there's some unofficial uploads. I'll have to look into that. Now we fight basically the first boss, and the boss is your standard NES fare. But I had to like comment on look at the animation. It's so detailed. Like the cocking of the gun and the way he jumps. I mean, it's just... This game is given this wonderful personality that you just want to keep seeing more into it. And like I said, it's a damn good looking title too. The backgrounds, I mean, the game just looks great. It sounds great. It's one of those NES games that we play for the first time, you're like, oh my god, I found a gem. And that's exactly how I felt when I bought this game. When I bought this game, I was just in love with it immediately. I'm like, this music is good. This gameplay's fun. I like this robot combination system. I even like this stupid, simple, but once again, personality in presentation of... First of all, the music is awesome. Here. I get to sit here and put the controller down and just jam this shit. Also like how your little coat is all flashing in the wind and shit. I mean, they wanted this game to look cool. They wanted this game to sell well. And get your attention. But yeah, you have 6 stages altogether. And some of them are easy, some of them are tough. And just for the sake of the video, I'll play one more stage just for you. Now, if you guys want me to play the Japanese version and show you the differences on that, I could try it. I have never beaten the Japanese version. I have tried. It's a little harder than this version. And this version is tough. Because, of course. Because I think there was a time where the Japanese were like, oh, you know, you guys are better than us at video games, so we're going to make your version harder. That's not always the case, though. A lot of the times the reason why that was is because of the rental system. We had a rental system, people would beat the game, put it, and then they would take it back, and they would never buy it. So they made games specifically harder, so you would rent them over and over until you finally beat it, or bought the game so you'd spend more time. It's a little petty and a little unfair, but it was how things were back then. There's no law against it. But it is one of the reasons I want some of the games that were released here I won't play. I mean, Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES is a prime example of that. I mean, I'll still play that game, because I want to master it. I mean, I've beaten it once in my entire life. I've been wanting to... That's one of the games I really want to beat on stream. Now, sure enough, I've beaten Ninja Gaiden Trilogy on stream, the SNES port. But that version was easy by default. Okay, this guy's pissed me off. Die! I mean, listen to this music. I'm gonna shut up a minute so you can listen to it a little bit. I mean, isn't this shit catchy? I mean, I could... Dude, I have, like, a lot of video game music CDs I made over the years where I would rip music from games and such, and I would put them on the CDs as MP3 format. And this was one of the games I jammed the hell a lot out of, because it was so good. The soundtrack is well composed. Of course, this was Natsume. Before this, they made games like Scat and Shadow the Ninja. Both of those have some banger soundtracks as well. Alright, what does BBB give us? This guy throws bombs. Now, this is a helpful helper. Not to be redundant, but... Shit! He is. Oh, come on. Don't just... God damn it. This game lets you know you die. Listen to how everything just slowly fades out. That's kind of scary if you think about it. It's very effective. Alright. I want to at least beat this stage for y'all. But yeah, you really need to play this game yourself. I mean, when I bought this game and took it home, I saw it like at the video store, and I never rented it because at the time I was all on Super NES's dick. I mean, I was all like, you know, Ultraman and Bill Lambert's Combat Basketball. I regret those days. I mean, I still like Ultraman though. My friend Steve was never interested in this game, you know, because we looked at it and we thought it was just, okay, some kind of Terminator ripoff. I want to go back in time and slap the fucking ever-living dog shit out of myself for thinking that way. I bought this literally for $1.99. I'm not kidding. That's how much it cost when I found it at Funkoland. It was $1.99. That equals to about, I think, $2.11 with Michigan sales tax, 6%. I don't know if it's climbed since then. It wouldn't surprise me. But yeah, I had $5. I had $5 in my pocket, so I was able to buy that, and unfortunately they didn't have any other games on that price point that were in. They didn't have them in stock, so I just went home with Shatterhand. I was a little disappointed. I was hoping to get more, but then when I played Shatterhand, I'm like, what the fuck? This game should be like $15. This is great. I mean, now that's not a problem. I mean, the retro boom has kind of proven that time and time again, you know? Get your ass up, dude. And it's funny, this is like one of the easiest stages, and I'm already struggling. Well, I'm not struggling, I'm just having problems. That's, I guess, struggling in some degree. Jump, bitch! That is so cheap. Come on. Fuck off, I can't heal myself, so... Not surprised. Yep, so now I got Robo Twins. Just beat the shit out of them, try not to get hit. Easier said than done, we all know that. But then you got this shit. Surprise, motherfucker. But basically, you just take out its parts. I might be able to do this. Alright, now we just take out the head. There we go. Now, it's not like that in every single fucking stage, but the ones you do get, it's great. It's like, yes, I beat this shit, we can move on to other games. Or other stages, rather. But yeah, this game's an absolute gem. You really owe it to yourself if you like NES action, side-scroll games like this. You know, you owe it to yourself to play this game through. It is really fun. It is tough, yes, but it's one of those things that when you die, you want to keep trying. Absolute gem. Highly recommended. Yeah, I do apologize for just overly praising the game, but I can't stress it enough. This is a fucking fantastic title. I mean, look at the cover. It looks gay as shit. Look at that. Hey, guys, look at my hand. Ooh. And it's like, you know, that's what I thought, too. When we see, that's probably what turned us off at the video store. We saw that, and we're like, what is this? Some kind of, like, offshoot of Terminator? Because Terminator 2, Terminator 1 even, those games suck shit from a straw. They were terrible. They're Kosuge. Definitely. No matter who makes it. It would have been great if Sunsoft was able to make Terminator and didn't lose the license on the NES, but we got Journey to Silius, and hey, that's a great enough game for me. And there's also a hack for that. I've posted that a couple times. I'm not posting it yet again, unless you ask. Yeah, so Shatterhand, made by Natsume, and it was published by Jaleco in America, and by Angel in the Japanese market, which is, like I said, a defunct subsidiary of Bandai, which is, it's kind of odd to see some from Bandai die, because Bandai was a big company then. They're a big company now. I mean, now they've sided with Namco, and so that's good. Also, I just want to go ahead and throw this out. Did you guys know that Jaleco is a living again? They go under the name City Connection, and they're kind of like re-releasing special versions of games by other companies. I think they even own the rights to Taito, because I've noticed a lot of the Taito games are released by on Steam by that name. So yes, Jaleco has returned in some form or another. And they also made a new Ninja Jaru game, I think, or Jabu. Doesn't matter. Great game, by the way. I own it in my collection, and or should I say, I own it on Steam. Great game. Anyways, that's not the point. The point is Jaleco's back, and I'm kind of happy about that. Maybe we'll see a good version of Russian Beat, which I doubt, because the fucking original on the SNES were garbage. But this game rules. Yeah, this cost me $2. $2.11. Not $1.99 plus tax. $2 for this. For this beautifully crafted game with a lovely personality, awesome presentation, and music that will just make you just be like, ah, it feels good on the ears. It's like, yes, it's like you're having an eargasm, because it just sounds so wonderful. I know, I highly praise the game. I think I may be praising it a little too much, but it is a great game. But on top of that, but the downside, of course, the game is really difficult. It's sometimes a little too difficult. But if you learn and have a little patience with yourself. You will beat it. I've beaten it a couple times in my life, and I still once in a while like to throw it on and play it because it's just that fun. But yeah, the only thing I don't like about it is that everything else, I mean, I can't really complain about anything else. I will say, though, that this is just my personal pettiness. Some of the robots just suck. I'm not... Like, the whole one I used in the first stage, or the opening stage, with the orbs that go up to the ceiling, that one is pure shit. The grenade one, you can find those online, too. They'll tell you the combinations. Wikipedia page, even, will tell you what combinations do what. But I highly suggest the samurai sword, or the samurai one, the grenade tosser, and the ring laser. There's an actual laser, but the problem is the projectile's too long and you have to wait a little bit before you can shoot another one, while the other ones are rapid fire. So and they do a lot of damage, and they are helpful, especially on bosses. But yeah, when I bought this, never played it, and I regret it. But then again, I'm happy now because I have a copy. I mean, I can simply say I have a copy, and I can play it at any time I want, and I'm glad I have. Because if I let that go through my radar and never had a chance to play it, I would never experience what the game has in store for it. See, because I thought it was made by Jaleco, and Jaleco wasn't horrible, but a lot of their games were hit and miss, like Taito was back in the NES days as well. Some of their games were hit and miss, too. Everyone hates Demon's Sword but me. There's some people that hate Wrath of Black Manta, but me. There are some games like the Flintstone games can fuck off. Those games are shit. And the fact that they cost so much because they're rarity. Oh, Bubble Bobble Part 2 is also shit. Rainbow Islands isn't that great. Okay? These are just personal opinions. But, yeah. So, Jaleco had that same problem. But, see, they didn't make this game. They published it. And see, when you see a publisher's name, you think that's who made the game back then. But it wasn't. It was Natsume. And if I knew that, I would have rented it, because I loved Shadow the Ninja. I love Scat. And no, I don't love the porn version of Scat. Disgusting, nasty. If you get off on that shit, that's what you do in your free time. Me, I don't see how literal shit can be a turn on. But there's some fucking sick motherfuckers out there. I'm glad I'm not one of them. Right, so, anyways, yes. Shatterhand. Definitely worth every penny, I think, if you decide to collect for it. And it does go for a high price these days, so does really one of these fucking games about to show. But if you're a collector and you're passionate and you don't care about shelling out the money, I suggest picking it up or playing it. So it's awesome. I was really happy when I did. So that being said, well, you know, the funny thing is the next game we're looking at is also a Natsume title. But this one's a different genre. And I remember seeing the commercials to this and being blown away, and also looking at the box art. Problem is I didn't have a working NES at the time. And unfortunately, the NES was my friend Steve. Now, my friend Steve, if he didn't like a game, he didn't want you putting it in his NES. But here's the thing. He went to church camp with my brother and sister. I didn't go to church camp because I had to be a certain age group, and I think I had to be 10 or older. And at the time, I was 8 or 9. And fuck it. He left his NES because at the time he was living with us for a little while because there was problems at home. And he left the NES there, and I said, "Fuck it, I'm renting that game," because I always saw the box art, and I saw the commercial back when it was first launched, and I was just like, "Wow, it looks like something I would like." So, and I adore it, but it has some problems. But I'll talk all about that during the gameplay footage. So, with that being said, let me go ahead and just get to that, shall I? You get an explosion and blood in the logo. Yeah, this is Abadox. This is also by Natsume. It was published by Milton Bradley because Natsume didn't have an American license yet. So you can basically say this was Natsume's first game in America. So what kind of game is Abadox, you may ask? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a shoot 'em up. And a damn fine one, too, with some great graphics, music, and enemy types. It has everything you could ever want in a shooter. Now, the funny thing about the game, at least in my opinion, is when I first seen the teaser commercial for this long ago, I didn't know what kind of game it was. It looked like to me, it looked like a platformer. Like, you know, it kind of looked like Metroid to me. It was strange. But, no, it's exactly the polar opposite. This is basically a shoot 'em up. And I love the art style they got going on here. I mean, it looks like fucking morbid as shit. Because, you know, Nintendo games are all happy, cutesy-wootsy dog shit. And then you have this motherfucker that shows some balls and shows a little bit of gore factor and a little bit of darkness in its art style. I mean, this was a breath of fresh air to me. I did not expect this when I first played the game. I went into this fucker completely blind. I just knew of his existence. That's it. And then when I popped it in for the first time, I'm like, this is an automatic gem. I'm going to play a little bit of the first stage for you. You have middle stage bosses and main stage bosses in the game. So you do have plenty to work with here. And, well, this game is a toughie too. And, I mean, look at this mid-boss. I mean, holy shit, you have, like, it's rotting away. And it's got, like, body parts and all that and shit. It looks rad. You can't deny that. It looks great. And for what the game and what it's trying to do is absolutely fucking amazing. Then you go to the second part of the stage. Each stage is like this. It's broken up into 2 parts. It's one of those games you really have to learn. I mean, just like any other shooter. Then when you get here, you start to notice something. You're like, hey, I played something just like this not too long ago. Maybe a year ago, maybe a few months ago. Or maybe you didn't play it at all, but you knew of its existence because it's so hard to ignore. If you guessed Life Force, you were correct. Because this game exactly is what Abadox is basically doing as well. You have basically, you're shooting, it's inside a body part, and it also shares some similarities as we will go through on this segment. As you can tell, once again, it does, Abadox in this game do take liberties off one another. You have teeth in this, and you have teeth in there. I mean, so there's really, you can tell there had to have been some sort of inspirational creativeness when it comes between this and Abadox. And of course, you can't forget about the bosses. You can never forget about the bosses in the shooter. That's one of the major draws of a shooter. But yeah, I saw this boss, I'm like, are you serious? There's eyeballs coming out of this dude's face in a wall? I mean, what kind of madness is this? I mean, did Nintendo pre-play this game? Because this wasn't part of their strategy. And of course, you got your side scrolls. But now you have your verticals. Once again, doesn't that sound familiar? Well, it sure as damn should, because, I mean, come on, make no mistake. Life Force and Abadox have so much in common, it's almost unbelievable. But they're both very good games, and they're very well worth your time. However, I must say Life Force has the edge over because of one big factor. It's co-op. Abadox is not. But just because it's not co-op doesn't mean you should skip out on Abadox. No way. This game has definitely some great elements to it. It's got great music, great graphics. It looks great. It's dark. It's not all cutesy-wootsy. I mean, that's the thing I loved about Life Force as well, is it just showed some balls and said, yo, we're going to take a little bit of a darker turn here on the NES. And surprisingly, both games went in the radar. One got noticed and one didn't. And the one that didn't is the one that you see before you. Which is a damn shame, because I think this game needs to be noticed by the retro community. And I don't see why. Like, why not? This is great stuff. I mean, first of all, it's Natsume. Natsume made some great NES games. All the games they created on the NES Famicom were fantastic titles. And here's this stage mid-boss. Of course, if you can keep this laser and not lose your ability, like lose your P ability, because the P gives you invincibility. I mean, you're pretty much like Kenshiro. You're just walking through this shit, being like, "Omae wa mo shinderu." But yeah, don't skip on Abadox. Don't step on it. It is a great fucking game, and I'm glad I went into this game blind as I did, because I haven't regretted it. It is still one of my favorite games on the NES. Yeah, so Abadox. Yeah, I went into this completely blind. I've seen, like I said, a snippet of a commercial, and it looked like a platformer to me. It wasn't. It was a shoot 'em up, and, you know, it's funny. I wanted to rent this game many times, and this was back when I didn't have a Nintendo. My Nintendo was completely broken because of my stupid ass. And, well, my friend was living with us. One of my friends, Steve, was living with us at the time. And I wanted to rent this so bad because I'm like, I remember seeing a snippet of a commercial. It was like a teaser. I don't really remember it, and I can't find it on YouTube. So, I mean, I don't know. Some of you may know what I'm talking about. But yeah, you never would think you would see Milton Bradley's name on a game, but they published some Nintendo games. This, Captain Skyhawk, Marble Madness, just to name a couple. Cabal, that's a game that's in my top 20. So is Abadox. Life Force, I think, is the better of the two, only because there's co-op, and it's a little longer. There's, I believe, 7 stages in Life Force, while there's only 6 in Abadox. You have 3 horizontal and 3 vertical. I mean, you don't go vertically up, you go vertically down, so it's inverted. But you can see that I think Natsume took some liberties from Life Force, and that's perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, that was common anyways during that time frame, well into the 16-bit period, where a lot of game companies would borrow like assets and things and ideas from other games and put them into their game to either make it or break it, or to basically plagiarize on it. I mean, there's a lot of reasons behind it. But yeah, Abadox was not looked at with the same light as Life Force, and for many people, it just went under the radar. They just either didn't know of its existence, they just saw it as just a Life Force clone, or just didn't give them enough credit, and that's not fair, because Abadox has it's Natsume, and Natsume makes some damn good games on the NES. They had Shadow the Ninja, this, Scat, and I can't think of any other that might be on the NES US anyway side of things. They've done more in Japan, but this is the US, not Japan, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, I love this cover art too in general. I mean, it's, you have this little green dude shooting, and you get some shit, and he has a spaceship. Now, I will admit, this cover art is not the greatest. It's not. It doesn't really encapitalize on what's going on in game, at least not to some degree. But it's effective amount. I mean, you still got blood in it. You still got blood in the title on the NES. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There were some games that got away with putting blood in the NES. You know, like Ninja Gaiden 2 when you beat Jacquio, and they of course censored it in the SNES version, which is odd because it came out during the whole Play It Loud campaign on the Super Nintendo, the twilight years of the SNES. So yeah, but you should. I mean, I went into this, like I said, I went into this blind. Anyways, I didn't even finish my rental story. Fuck. So basically, we're living with my friend Steve, and I always told him, like, I want to rent Abadox, and he's like, no, that game looks stupid. Once again, closed-minded. I'm like, you never even played it. You don't know. He's like, no, I played it at a cousin's house, and it's just a shooter. It's pretty gay. And I'm like, dude, I'm paying for it. Let me just rent it and let me play it for a little bit. I mean, I was willing to let go, because Nintendo games at the time, since the SNES was pretty much new at the time, it was $1.50 for NES titles, $2.50 for SNES. And I was just like, dude, just let me run it and let me play. And he wouldn't budge. But here, I tricked him. Well, I didn't trick him. Just some events transpired to allow me to rent the game and play it on his system. I'll explain that. He was living with us, and at the time, my brother and my sister were going to church camp at the time, because our church was still in, the whole congregation was still going. That church disbanded in 1995, and it was owned by somebody new, and everyone just went their own way. But anyways, yeah, my brother and sister went to church camp, and of course, Steve wanted to be around my brother, so he went to church camp too. He thought it might be fun. He didn't hide the NES or anything, or do some shady shit like that, which I expected him to do. No, he just left it there. And see, I was too young, and at the same time, I wasn't all that interested. So during the summer, that entire week they were gone, I rented a bunch of NES games they didn't want to play, because they were closed-minded, like worse than I ever been in my life. So I rented Abadox, and I was in love with it. And the funny thing is, though, I rented it twice. I rented it purposely the day he came back from church camp, and I was playing it. And he even asked me when he walked in, he's like, "What are you playing?" I'm like, "Oh, it's that game you said that's gay, and you play at your cousin's, and it's awesome." He's like, "That's Abadox?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Dude, this music is awesome." I'm like, "Get right." It's like, when we're kids, we do stupid shit. We get stupid opinions, but yeah, I rented it, and then after that, his opinion of Abadox changed. He says it was a decent game, and he was thinking of something else. Of course, cover up, as friends tend to do. But yeah, Abadox is great. You guys should actually give it a try. It needs more love, though. It really does. Obviously, it's one of those forgotten hidden gems. Not the fucking Metal Jesus bullshit hidden gems. Most of the games he says are hidden gems are shit, by the way. But yeah, this is a hidden gem, and I honestly think you should give it a play. It's really fun. It's 6 stages. It's tough, but you'll learn the stages relatively quickly, and if you're good at shoot-'em-ups, you should be able to breeze through it on your first time playing it. It may take you a couple hours, maybe, because you haven't finished continues, too. So, the only thing that's stopping you from enjoying the game is you. So, that's it. But speaking of closed-minded games, the next game we're going to look at, I was closed-minded for, until I actually bought it, and then my opinion changed entirely. I never played this prior to it. Once again, went in blind completely. I saw it. I did see it, though. I didn't play it because, once again, closed-minded, stupid kid. So, let's look at that next. Yeah, Hail of America made this out of all people. It's very odd. They were known for Lolo games at the time. Very strange. Yeah, Satoru Iwata's group was actually in charge of this, and some of you probably already know right at the bat. I've seen this intro. You know exactly what this is, because I know some people talk about this game. Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Odd name, but I suggest a Japanese version, which is called The Inner Circle of Heaven and Hell, I believe. Link in the description for the patch, or where you can get this from. But yeah, the American version is really strange. You play as a general, and you have to fight against a virus, and to do that, there is a Kabuki fighter in code, and you use that code, and you basically transport yourself to that code, and you become this guy. Yeah, I mean, when I saw all that shit, I'm like, is my NES having a stroke? When I first, well, not when I first, well, yeah, no, when I first played it, it was at Funkoland, and of course, I'll explain the closed-mindedness very briefly. I saw this, and this was my initial reaction to that. Oh, he attacks with his hair? That is so stupid. He needs a sword or some ninja stars. I don't want to play this crap. And I didn't for like a couple years because I thought that was stupid. But then I opened up my mind a little bit and said, you know what? This looks like it might be a decent game. Let's stop with this how it looks and play it. And I'm so glad I did, because this is an excellent time. This game has a flow just like Ninja Gaiden, except instead of using a sword, you use your hair, which is kind of odd of a choice, but at the same time it works, because it works just like your sword. You do flips. You also have this really iconic, catchy tune. I love this first level tune, always have. Come on, jam with me. But yeah, seriously, I saw the whole hair whipping. I'm like, that's stupid. Why doesn't he have his sword? This is retarded. I don't want to play this garbage. Good old Closed-Mind DSX being Closed-Mind DSX. Obviously, I opened up to it. I mean, I remember it was a $10 game, and it became like a $5 game. I'm like, you know, I got 5 bones. Let's give it a fair try. And if I don't like it, you know, I got a few stinkers in my collection anyways. It's not that big of a deal. But then I ended up playing it, and playing it, and playing it, beating it, loving it. I mean, come on. I mean, we already had like 3 stellar Ninja Gaiden titles at this point. Or I think the 3rd was actually in development, my mistake. And, you know, so we had this as a nice stopgap. But there are people that are starting to talk about this game now. Or they have covered it in many ways. And rightfully so. It deserves a place in a lot of people's collections, if you like this sort of thing. Which I do. I mean, everyone knows I'm a big fan of side-scrollers. I mean, I love the NES in general, and this definitely fits the bill. But the whole, like, this is so smooth. Like, the whole, the flow of it is just nice and smooth. You just go attack enemies and just keep going. You don't have to stop barely for anything, unless you're like me and like to attack all the enemies on screen. And that's all there is to it. I mean, you got bosses. And you also get, like, chip energy, and I will explain that. Here's the first boss. But yeah, here's the first thing you receive. What looks to be a ninja star, or could it be a kunai dagger? Yeah, this guy wants to be like fucking Geese Howard, throwing replicants and shit. But yeah, it's your standard NES fare. It's awesome. It's good stuff. I mean, I was so happy I picked this up, because I honestly was like, this is the dumbest attack I've ever seen in a video game. This is stupid. That was how I felt about it. That's all it would take for me to dislike a game back then. It was terrible. But the game is not terrible. It's a really fun action game. It's well worth your time. And I'm glad people are talking about it. But I still think it needs a little bit more love and devotion. And you have cutscenes just like Ninja Gaiden. But the storyline in this game is bored. Compared to the Japanese version, I suggest playing the Japanese version. But for your American people that don't mind a kind of a loosey-goosey story, it kind of falls in that same problem as Vice Project Doom had. That had a better plot in the Japanese version. So play that version as well as this version. Yeah, I mean, there's not much I could really say here that I have. I mean, you pretty much see what you see is what you get, and you do get better at like chip powers and such. Like, say, my power has increased. So instead of that little kunai dagger or shuriken, we have this now. Basically a full-on Hadouken that does more damage. Those are very helpful towards bosses. I'm not going to sit here and play this game all day. That's how much I like it. But yeah, Hell Laboratories made this. They were known for their Airland and Lolo games on the NES at this point. So this was actually kind of a breath of fresh air to see them do something else. And it makes me sad because they could have done so much more. You know, they were so like little in terms of game content. It makes me just wonder what else could they have done. They did do some things, like there's Arcane on the SNES, which was an RPG. It wasn't very good. My brother beat it though. I think I actually beat it too on a rental. I don't remember though. It was a long time ago. But yeah, Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Went in there, played it, loved it, beat it. It's fantastic. Well worth everyone's time. It's got great music, great control. Of course, this part is kind of a pain in the ass. But yeah, I suggest anyone that likes Ninja Gaiden, you'd be an idiot not to play this as well. The controls are a little stiff. That's probably my only complaint. You can probably tell by the movement that your controls are actually really stiff, but you do get used to it. See, I told you those things are helpful. So yeah, Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Well worth your time. So yeah, what an amazing surprise this game was. I was sincerely surprised because, like I said, when I saw the hair attack, I'm like, I totally wrote the game off completely. Kids do that kind of thing, though. I mean, I don't really remember the age I saw it. I wanted to say maybe around maybe 10 or 11 years old at the time. And I was extremely close-minded when I saw that hair attack. And I totally wrote the game off completely. And I'm gonna do myself a service for that. Because that was stupid. You don't... You know, like the whole saying goes, you don't judge a book by its cover. Play the damn game and then see what you think of it. And that's exactly what I did here. And I'm so glad I did, to the point where, you know, I've said, you know what, I'm gonna have myself a lab. I'm gonna buy the game, make fun of it. I'll play it, see how far I can get. But then I actually found myself loving and enjoying the shit out of it. I will admit, though, Stage 3 in the game, which I haven't shown here, I mean, if you guys want me to do a Let's Play of this game, I can. But Stage 3 is still, to this day, one of the biggest bitches in gaming history. Yeah, you basically gotta go up, and there's a lot of guys, like those guys with the heads that shoot the fireballs at you, and it's just a pain in the ass. Oh my god. Still, to this day, it still gives me a hard time. I mean, it's like, it's one of those games where sometimes you play it and you can go through it, and it's like, okay, no problem. And then there's other days you struggle, and it's like, what the fuck happened? But, yeah, I do play this one very often. Well, not very, very often. Maybe once every couple years or so, just for if I don't know what else to play and I want to play something that's, you know, I would say short, but it's not all that short. It's about, I want to say roughly 35 to 45 minute game, if you take your time. But it's definitely, it's a really good game. It has, like, the details, as you saw, is fantastic. The game is just filled with it. The colors are nice, and, of course, your Kabuki is well animated for, you know, NES standards of that time frame. And it's got catchy music, so it kind of fits the whole atmosphere of the game as well. So, yeah, this is a hidden gem as well, because there are people starting to talk about it, though. I've seen quite a few videos, actually. I can't name the channels specifically, because, well, most gaming channels on YouTube bore the shit out of me. They either have no personality, or they're too fucking flashy. They like to hear themselves talk. Alright? Sometimes I talk too much, too, but I try to just do that to get my point across. But, yeah, Kabuki Quantum Fighter. Excellent NES game. Well worth your time, and I'm so glad I gave it a fair chance. And, you know, I hope some of you out there feel the same way about it. Now, the next one's going to be, well, different from what you saw. So, and it's also got some interesting trivia I will definitely glad to share with you. So, and it's also going to be the final game for this video. So, some of you may be surprised or shocked. Some of you may be interested. Some of you may have even played this game. I've never played it until I bought it. I knew of its existence. Sure, I saw the game box, but I never, like, saw it being played. I never saw it in any other way until I actually bought it myself and played it. So with that being said, let's move on to it, shall we? Ah, yes, Xanadu. Very awesome. You know what's funny? I used to pronounce this game Faxanadu. You know, because I was a stupid kid and I didn't know any better. But there's also some reasons I called it that. But the proper name is Xanadu, and I'll explain why. Okay, look at the title. You have Fa, and of course X, and Adu. Here's the funny part, or here's the trivia for you. This game is literally a spin-off, or a side story, to the second installment of the Dragon Slayer series, Xanadu. That's right, the Famicom got a Dragon Slayer game, but that's not the only one we got. We got another one, and that was Legacy of the Wizard, which is also known as Dragon Slayer for the Slay family, which I have a special hatred for because I can't get anywhere in it. Some of my friends could. Some people actually literally poured their heart and soul into finishing that game, and they are the real OGs. I am not that kind of a guy. But the reason why I got this game is because I heard word of mouth that if I liked Zelda 2, I'd like this. So I'm like, okay, you see some old dude walking to a castle, and you're just thinking, okay, what does this have to do with anything? Of course, it's a story, so we want to pay attention. I mean, his sprite looks like he's in his underwear, though. Now, the thing about the Dragon Slayer series is none of them are connected to each other. They're all their separate stories and adventures. You have Solsirian, you have Xanadu, you have, Xanadu, sure, there's Xanadu. East isn't part of that, that's not it, and there's Dragon Slayer, you know, I'm sorry, I'm the wrong person. Because the thing is we didn't get most of them. We did get Solsirian on DOS. We didn't get the Genesis port, and thank God for that. That game was butchered to hell. The DOS version was okay. You could tell why that game wasn't well spread, because it was so, like, hooked on economics and things, and it was just annoying to play. The action sequences were fine enough. Anyways, that's besides the point. I'm getting ahead of myself. So basically, with Xanadu, you know, or Xanadu, excuse me, the first place you want to go is the castle, because there's the king, of course. And the king, of course, will tell you things that you need to know, obviously. Oh, that's not the king, excuse me. This guy's important, though. He basically gives you a rank, and he also gives you a password. There's no save features, unfortunately. So I got the Ring of Elf. Okay, that's not important. But yeah, when I first was playing this game, my initial reaction was like, okay, I'm in a town. Why am I in a town? Why am I not doing cool stuff? And look at this shit. Nintendo didn't want tobacco in their games, right? What the fuck you call this shit? That's not important. We need to go see the king. Yeah, and obviously you have nothing. You're completely fucked for the moment, but that soon changes. Yeah, I mean, some people just, like, love and adore this game, and agreed. I've never beaten it. I've gotten to, I want to say the second part. Now, of course, as you can tell, this is a castle, so you go in there and you talk to the king, and you hear this epic music. You know, your simple, rudimentary 8-bit nonsense. But yeah, he gives you money, and then you can go buy stuff, and go out into the world, and grind, and all that stuff. So it's kind of like Zelda 2, but the gameplay is not the same. It's a little bit more stiff. And oh my god, the bosses in this game are terrible. I don't want to ruin all that for you. Some people who actually have the time to show all of you that stuff, they can do that. For me, I'm just going to show you basically what you start off with. And basically, this ain't like a Let's Play video. It's just kind of like a retrospective of what I thought when I first played the game. So I'm like, okay, I got 1,500 golds. What do I do? Where can I go? Well, turns out you can use that money to buy yourself some stuff. And you'll notice your guy has an inertia setting. Like, he goes slow at first, but then he speeds up. I always thought that to be annoying. Because this isn't necessarily a platform game, but there are some platforms later in the game that are irritating. Anyways, so we gotta go find the weapon shop. Oh yeah, I forgot. This place doesn't label them. Just get out of my way, dickhead. Alright, so we gotta go to some of these places and Okay, this is a butcher shop. If you need, like, food to make yourself better, this is the guy you go to. I mean, this guy literally looks like... I'm sorry, he looks like a Chelmo. That's basically Wings of Redemption if he makes it to 60. So, some guys have, like, beards, though. And, of course, you can talk to NPCs. I mean, it's your standard action RPG. I'm sorry, I wish I could... Okay, that... Once again, dude, look at that guy. It looks like he's smoking a joint, literally. He's just like... Yeah, boys, I got keys and shit. And even when you talk to him... Look, he got a cigarette or a joint in his mouth. What the fuck, Nintendo? You guys were all about, oh yeah, we need to censor everything. Not this time. Alright, here we go. And what's funny is you can do this. What's up, bud? I'm just gonna steal your shit and run away. Fuck. Anyways, this is where, of course, you can come here and you can buy stuff. And oops, I pressed the wrong button, sorry. Yeah, you can, if you press B, you cancel out of everything. So we need to get what we can afford. So unfortunately, right now we can afford a hand dagger, and Deluge is your magic power. You're gonna want that. But I still think you look like a dude in pajamas. And what's stupid is you gotta continuously go back out, go back in. It's irritating, but you get used to it. I mean, you gotta think this was a time frame when things were a little different. And that's usually what I would start with. Maybe I should get the potion too. Actually, no. See, it's like if I was doing a Let's Play, this would make more sense. I think there's an armor shop here. I want to say there is. It's like my memory kind of is faulty. I have not played this game in years, but yeah, now we can stab stuff if we want to. But you can't stab it. You can't duck and stab. So when I first played this, I was like, dude, what the fuck? That is the most simplest of actions you could do. But anyway, to continue your adventure, you basically gotta go to the edge of town. Oh, it's also good if you talk to this guy again, because every time you die, you'll start here. He'll tell you your mantra, and your mantra is the password. The gurus. And it's odd, when you gain levels, it doesn't seem to do anything. I mean, tell me in the comments if I'm wrong about that, because I have not found fuck all on what it does, other than you get a title, quote unquote. Okay, I need to go see the key guy. I think I need the J key. Yeah, the keys are based off alphabets in this game. Oh, fuck off. I know this segment is all over the place, but it's been a while. I do want to complete this at some point in my life, though. So let's get a key. What's up, hi? I mean, look at his eyes! Dude, he's smoking some good stuff. Probably some great, relaxing indica. We all need that. So let's buy a J key. He tells you to thank you, and you tell him to fuck off and enjoy his joint. I mean, these people are just smoking all over the place. I mean, I guess they have nothing better to do. Anyways, yeah, so when I first played this, I'm like, okay, it kind of resembles Zelda 2. My friends were right, and of course I died, because I fucking am an idiot. Yeah, so I just want to go and show you the world a little bit. But yeah, you start here, and now you get full health, unlike before, which is dumb. But I don't think I have my my stuff. Let me see. Okay, I still have my stuff. So basically, yeah, that's stupid. You can just die, and then you'll get full magic, and it's ridiculous. Anyways, yeah, just pick Deluge. That makes your life a little easier. You get more, better magic as you progress, obviously. But yeah, Deluge is a really nice... See, bam, he's done. I didn't have to fight with him. Oh. I got the key, right? Yeah. I've used key. Let me tell you guys something. Would you ever say I used key when you put a key in a door? And now you're outside, and now you start the world of Xanadu, where you're going to do a lot of grinding, and a lot of experience gain, and gold. A lot of shit in this game is expensive. So you're going to spend most of your time grinding more so than adventuring. Because there are some hard-ass bosses. But yeah, I went to this, I'm like, okay, this is an action RPG. It's much like Zelda 2. I think I can get into this. And I did, but I didn't get into it enough to the point where I actually like sat down and beat it, unfortunately. Because this game gets tough to the point where I just like, you know what, I'm done. Fuck it. I'm gonna go do something else. It's good. It is a great game. It's just, for me, I just have a problem like just, you know, playing it like any normal person would for a prolonged period of time. But I do aim to correct that, because I do want to see all the world that this game has, because I do like the Dragon Slayer series. It's very interesting. Except for Legacy of the Wizard. That can fuck off. But yeah, all fucking doors in this game have fucking keys. Like this one right here. I think you need a K key. Oh no, I take that back. Oh yeah, look at the prices here. Remember how I told you everything in this game is expensive? Oh, I am like the worst person to be playing this. Look at that shit! Holy balls! I mean, how the fuck am I guess I gotta go pick a street corner and learn to enjoy giving fellatio, which I refuse to do. My character, not me in general. But I mean, I'm pretty sure you guys get the idea. I mean, I went to this thinking, you know, Zelda 2 is a hard game to replicate, let alone enjoy, and you know, this game definitely has some interesting aspects to it. And now you're in an actual town with actual icons that tell you what stuff you can buy. So you kind of get the gist of it. Is it a good game? Absolutely. I mean, I didn't show you much because that's not the point of this video. The point is basically giving you my reactions of how I went into these games blind. And I mean, you have, you know, your key guy, your armor guy. Who the fuck is this? It's a bar. Alcohol references. See, so basically Nintendo didn't even proof play this game, even though I think they were the ones that published it. It's weird, dude. It's weird. But yeah, here's another one of those gurus. They always look like a little chapel, and then they'll be like, "Oh, you gained all this experience. You get a title of dog shit." He'll meditate with you. What he means is masturbate. Don't let him fool you. And there's your password. So you get the gist of it. But yeah, I was like, alright, this is going to be something awesome that I could play through. But it's just, the later you get, the harder the bosses become, the harder the game gets. It's damn worth your time, though, for real. Especially like action RPGs of the earlier kind. And if you're a fan of the Dragon Slayer series, you can't really go wrong with it. The music in this game, in my opinion, is hit or miss. It's okay. But it's nothing I would listen to outside the game. Leave that for Dragon Slayer 4, which was composed by Yuzo Koshiro. And anything that guy makes, let's be honest, other than Streets of Rage 3, and maybe Beyond Oasis, is kind of meh. I also noticed that there's a sprite on screen up there. You know, I'm gonna have to check I'll have to check and actually play this game again and see if that same sprite appears. It seems like a whoopsies, but yeah, but you understand what I'm getting at with this, I think. It's an awesome game, definitely worth your time. Some of you probably already played through this game and were like, oh yeah, this game's a masterpiece. And I would agree with you. I just need to see it to the end, and hopefully I can do that in the near future. Yeah, so, Xanadu. Yeah, this game was actually, I believe it was published by Nintendo. It says 1988 Hudson Soft, but Hudson Soft had like kind of a logo on the thing, but you don't see that. But it was basically, it was made under, it was, I want to say it was licensed or published by Nintendo, because I mean, let's look at that. You have the Nintendo logo both times, so I believe this was. I mean, I'm not entirely sure. Forgive my ignorance. If please feel free to correct me. I like to have my story straight. Anyway, on the card it even says it was under license from Falcom. Falcom was the ones that make the Dragon Slayer games, and they're also the ones that made Ys, and they're still going strong with the Ys series. And they're also making like other side stories with Xanadu. You got Xanadu Next and Tokyo Xanadu. So there you go. I don't think they made any Sosirians though. I think their last Sosirian game was online. I don't think that was official though. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, yeah. So this was made by Hudson Soft, and I believe it was published by Nintendo. And it was basically, it's a side story to Xanadu. And if you've ever played Xanadu, you know, first of all, awesome, because I've never got a chance to play the original Xanadu. I don't know if this has anything to do with Xanadu. Obviously it does if it's you know, side story. Anyways, the FA stands for Famicom, and the rest of it stands for Xanadu. So Famicom Xanadu, that's what this basically game stands for. Now that's odd for the US release, because our our system is called the Nintendo Entertainment System. It's not called the Famicom, so the name is weird. But yeah, but it's also an interesting tale. You know, that we actually got some kind of Dragon Slayer game other than Legacy of the Wizard. And of course, Sorcerian was released on DOS by Sierra, so I don't think we got in the other games in the series, unfortunately, which is kind of a shame because, you know, there are some good games within it. We did get the original. I take that back, for the TurboGrafx 16. It's called Dragon Slayer: Legend of Heroes. Yeah, so we did get it. It was on the CD though, so. And, you know, as you know, the PC Engine did not do fair well over here in America because the marketing system was shit and not many people really cared for the TurboGrafx, which is kind of a shame. Probably due to marketing or just maybe there was too many shooters. Not everyone's a shoot-'em-up fan. I know I am. Some of you out there are too, probably. There could be very many reasons. There's a lot of reasons. A lot of people claim... There's this one video I seen. It may have been Gaming Historian or it may be somebody else. They basically said that they tried marketing it over here, and then they noticed it didn't catch on, so what they just did was just sold the remaining stock, and they just left it at that. And I'm thinking, that's odd, because they were still releasing games for it, and they even released the updated version, the Turbo Duo. And if that was really the case, they wouldn't have brought the Turbo Duo over here in America if it didn't sell well. It probably sold enough to establish, more sales. Obviously, it didn't hold a candle in terms of sales between the SNES and Genesis. Those guys were clashing hardcore in the early 90s. But the Turbo Duo, it was basically third place. It was lonely. And it's sad because, believe it or not, TurboGrafx 16, PC Engine, Turbo Duo, great system. Great system, definitely. It's got a great library, has great shooters, and if you can find the non-shooters, those were also great games, like the Splatterhouse arcade port, Legendary Axe. I mean, the list goes on. You just got to dig a little deep, It's hard to do, though. I understand that. Anyways, those are some of the games on the NES that I bought completely blind, hardly devoid. I was devoid of any kind of knowledge, any kind of, gameplay, or I would play them just a tad bit and just realize they weren't worth my time. I mean, Kabuki Quantum Fighter was like that, for sure. But Abadoxy, I've seen the commercial of that. It was very brief. I don't remember too much into it. And then I finally got a chance to finally play it. I always wanted to play it, though, when I would see the cover art, because it just looked so badass. I'm like, what is this game? It's got to be awesome. And it was. So that's awesome. Vice Project Doom, I got a Let's Play of that, and that's an awesome, awesome game. I love how the fact that they change up the gameplay types. That's neat. Shatterhand, of course, is a unsung classic. Many people know of its existence because of the bizarre cover art, and you also have the great music. Once again, Natsume. And I just find it odd that Jaleco had to publish that game, and Natsume refused to. They had to reskin the game because it was originally a manga. So, anyways, yeah, these are just some examples. I do plan on doing more videos like this in the future. And if you're interested in that, I would like to hear your feedback. But until the next time, guys, I am Foreverretro 82. I am signing off. Y'all have a good one. Remember to keep gaming, keep loving, and keep it retro. And until next time, y'all take good care of yourselves.
Thank you for watching my video. If you liked what you saw and would like to support my channel, please consider being a patron. I'll put your name up with these fine folks who have donated to this channel, and that would be awesome to have you on board. If not, that's entirely up to you. I hope you have a good day and take care.